afternoon and good evening to you, all my friends across the world. And yay, it's Friday, guys. It's another weekend. I know there isn't much difference now between the weekend and the weekdays, but we still got to separate them, guys. It's the only way we can make sense of these weeks flying by one at a time. So happy weekend, happy Friday, guys. Today is Friday, the 24th of April, and I have quite a bit of information to bring to you guys today, and I want to call out a few people as well today. So our topic today really is going to be that to let you guys know that finally the UK is listening. They are ramping up the testing now. They have put in place it's a plan basically now to start testing the country, and which would then lead us towards opening back up. As you guys who watch my videos regularly know, I've been banging on about them not testing and talking about opening up. I've brought you guys Singapore, that's now on a second wave, who thought they dealt with it. They had far more fewer numbers than we did, then cleared it about a month ago, and now in the last 2 weeks they've discovered 14,000 cases, and now within that they got 10,000 cases. So they're back in the mix again. So finally our government is doing the right thing, and I'm proud to say I was one of the first platforms, if you like to call them out. So guys, without further ado, let's get down to it. Right, I want to start, like I said, with the news about the testing now. Yesterday, Matt Hancock, our health minister, announced that he's now ramping up testing. So he's now going to be testing all frontline staff, which they were doing, but doing very poorly. However, they've now included essential workers as well. So your post office workers, your delivery drivers, and to also cheer me up and cheer you guys up. You should be happy to hear this as well. They've also included those who live with frontline workers. So frontline and emergency family members, workers' family members are going to also be tested. Now, the total number of those people is an estimated 10 million people. Take a look at the video.
Reveal how they hope to get Britain, quote, back on her feet. The Health Secretary announced that millions of essential workers in England will be entitled to use an expanded system of mobile and home testing, and he said the government was preparing to return to the policy of tracking and tracing the contacts of infected people. Our political editor, Gary Gibbon, has this report.
The virus is central to the government's strategy for pulling out of the economic tailspin. And today, the Health Secretary announced a fleet of mobile testing labs will be sent out from these underused drive-in testing centres. It's hoped that will get the government up to the 100,000 tests a day it's promised to achieve a week today. The Health Secretary announced he was adding to the list of who can have the tests.
From today, employers of essential workers who will be able to go on gov.uk to get a test for any of their staff who need a test. And from tomorrow, any essential workers who need a test will be able to book an appointment on gov.uk themselves directly. This all applies for people in essential workers' households too who need a test. It's all part of getting Britain back on her feet.
That opens up the test to some 10 million people potentially. The government also announced 6 weeks after it abandoned track and tracing work, it's bringing it back.
How does it work?
An NHS app like Singapore's will log contacts through Bluetooth. It'll be backed up by a team of 18,000 people mapping who individuals with COVID-19 may have infected.
Test, track and trace done effectively, can help to suppress the transmission in a way that allows you then to have lesser social distancing rules.
Do you now think it was a wrong call for all the nations of the United Kingdom to stop track and trace?
These decisions were made on a sound basis. We'll all, when we get to a later stage in this, I'm sure we'll all look back and want to assess what we did, what we didn't do, so that we can learn for the future. But none of it...
Nicola Sturgeon was unveiling the Scottish Government's framework for decision-making on how controls could eventually be eased.
Talk of lifting the lockdown as if it's a flick of a switch moment is misguided.
The Scottish Government suggested the sort of easing of restrictions that could emerge included selected businesses being allowed to reopen. Schools returning with staggered lessons in smaller classes to maintain social distancing. And there could be regional differences in the relaxation of rules.
As I say, that's fantastic news. We have to give the government props when they do the right thing, and we also have to call them out when they do the right thing. So I'm glad to bring that fantastic news to you guys. However, that's not the be all and end all. They are looking at, based Scotland's also setting out a roadmap to reopening, which includes testing. Also, I'd see that they've also now testing home test kits. That will be a game changer, guys. That will be a game changer, because as soon as they have home testing kits and they make that available to everybody, obviously free of charge, you can't be asking people to pay for the test kit when they're trying to get back to work. So the key to that is that the government does not try and make money out of it. That would be ridiculous. Okay, so they've also brought in the home test kits, which I'll be bringing you news on that as time goes on. Other news happening around the world, guys. I have to tell you that you hear me bang on about Brazil quite a bit. I've got to give you guys some good news as well, that my blog is getting across the world. I had a message from a Brazilian yesterday. You know, I've been talking about Bolsonaro, the Brazilian prime minister, who's as crazy as they come with Trump. By the way, watch this space. I'm coming in a few minutes with a Trump video that will blow your minds, guys. So I got a message from a guy called Claudio Mansur Marquez. Funny enough, his surname is the same first name as my son. He says, basically, Spencer, thanks, stay safe and healthy, and blessings from Brazil. And he sends a love and a prayer, thank you. I then replied to him saying, Claudio, thanks so much from Brazil. I mention your country quite a lot. Bolsonaro is not right in his mind. Spread my videos to your contacts and stay safe. He then replied and said, Anthony, thank you very much. I agree with you. He is an inhuman figure. Thank you so much. I then said, Claudio, thanks for supporting. Keep watching, and I'll keep looking out for news from Brazil. So, guys, what we're doing here is paying off slowly but surely. We're managing to reach Brazil all the way from Hertfordshire in England. And so, yeah, keep watching my video. We're going to keep spreading the news, and we're not going to stop until we hold them all responsible for what's going on. Guys, there is yesterday I done a video on which was titled "When the Earth Catches a Flu, the Ethnic Minorities Have Pneumonia." It was basically drawing your attention to the fact that as a black community, we're dying at a rate of 1 in every 3. And yet we're probably 1 in 14, 1 in 11, 1 in 12 maybe in the population. And we're dying at a rate of 1 in 3, which is huge. My main thing about drawing that attention to that yesterday, guys, was to say, look, somebody has to speak up. I brought you guys a video of what they're doing in America. They've got Magic Johnson talking to people. They got P. Diddy, many of you know Puff Daddy, talking to people, trying to get black people to do the right thing. They got Prophet's daughter, who the Prophet was one of the first people that said prayer and our color will save us from this virus. He's now dead. His daughter's now talking. And lastly, you had that's it, Dougie Fresh. Dougie Fresh done a video the other day that I brought to you guys. So in America, they are doing everything they can. Now, I want to show you guys a video from the Muslim community in the UK. Take a look at this, with the Muslims doing exactly what I am trying to do. And I'm the single voice out there, my people. I'm the only one who is saying this for real, because even the Muslims, we know how Muslims are with fasting. And you can't pay a Muslim $1 million not to fast. You can't. I mean, when you're a true Muslim, you fast. They got high top-ranking imams telling Muslims to please, this is not the time to fast. Your health comes first. So whatever your belief in Allah, whatever your belief in the Quran, whatever your belief that you grew up with from your grandparents handed down to you, that this is the time to fast and do this, the Muslim community are putting the word out to all Muslims to say, this is not the time to fast. Think of your health first. The black Americans are doing their bit for the black Americans. The governors of each state are doing their bit for mostly their people who black people don't listen to. The government here are doing their bit for the population, but our population does not listen to them because they do not trust them. So who do we have? Have we seen Lenny Henry out there talking to people? Have we seen Trevor McDonald out there talking to people? These are respected black folk. No one's doing anything for us over here. Have a look at what the Muslims are doing for their fellow Muslims.
Tall and well. At this difficult time, we urge all of our Muslims to keep their health at the forefront. Your health is more important than anything else. More important than anything else. A person, God forbid, is suffering from this horrible illness, then they are not permitted to fast, quite simply. If people, even if they feel the symptoms of it and they are unsure, then even in that situation, we would urge our Muslims to show precaution, not to fast, and to fast later when God gives them good health again.
This Ramadan.
This Ramadan.
This Ramadan. This Ramadan.
Frontline workers and famous faces from the British Muslim community have been keen to emphasise the stay-at-home message. This Ramadan.
I am praying for the world.
I'm praying for the world.
I'm praying for the world. But from home.
From home. From home.
You can be a lifesaver.
Okay, so this is what's going on around the world. I mean, everyone's looking out for their own. Who is looking out for the black population? And the Muslims are looking after the Muslims. And within the Muslim faith, you got blacks, you got Arabs, you got whites. So the Muslims are looking after those with that faith. So that leaves the black Christians, right? It just leaves the black Christians, which majority of us are. Who's talking to them directly, people? I'm urging Lenny Henry. I'm urging all black respected footballers, Andy Cole, these old school black footballers. I need you guys to do what you can to save our people, because they are stuck in their ways, and we need to really bring the news to them. Just like it's not that black people are stubborn, but every other race is doing it. Every other demographic is doing the same thing, other than us over here. The American blacks are being looked after because they died in huge droves over there, huge droves. Okay, but listen, my appeal is for all anybody who sees this from the black community, who has respect amongst our community, to take this up and band together, come together and put out videos encouraging our people to take this stuff seriously. Because like I said, Singapore's now had a second wave. I might have survived this first wave. Who's to say I'm going to survive a second wave? So all of us that are alive today now, right now, when we see this go down and we come back out, guys, the fight is still on, because there is so much we do not know about this virus. So my plea to any black respected celebrities out there, or a respected professor, as long as it looks like us, I'm urging you to please take the podium, band together, put something together specifically targeted at my fellow black citizens. Guys, I want to move on to another topic now. And as much as our government's listening, and I have to give them their props, okay? You're not going to hear me criticize them today, because they're actually on the right course. You won't hear me criticize any government that's on the right course. You've heard me talk hugely, really with a lot of respect for Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, and for Merkel in Germany, and Trudeau in Canada, and all these rulers who've done the right thing, and Macron in France, that even though he did the wrong thing, he came out and said, I've done the wrong thing, we're going to do better now. If you do the right thing, I've got no beef with you. I've got no beef with you, because we all make mistakes. What I hate is to see a government make mistakes and then lie and lie and lie after it, and cover and cover and cover, especially if your agenda is your right-wing ideology, you want to keep hold of power and all these types of reasonings. Then I'm out coming after you. And I might be a little guy, but guess what? I'm reaching out to Brazil right now. So watch this space. Right, I want to discuss Trump now, this other side. I've told you guys about a week and a half ago that we're just going to focus on the two hotspots. Let's not get it twisted. The UK and the US are now the world's hotspots in the world. We're now the hotspots. So from one hotspot, the UK, to another, and I'll show you the difference in having some restraint, because there ain't a lot of difference between Trump and our rulers. There ain't a lot of difference between Trump's cabinet and our cabinet over here. The only true difference is that they're British, and the British are very, they're not that brash. They won't go all out and say stupid stuff like what I'm about to show you now. So take a look at what Trump has been telling people in America. This will blow your mind. Take a look.
It does have an effect on other viruses, but now we get it from one of the great laboratories of the world. I have to say, it covers a lot more territory than just this. This is probably an easy thing, relatively speaking, for you. I would like you to speak to the medical doctors to see if there's any way that you can apply light and heat to cure. You know, if you could, and maybe you can, maybe you can't. Again, I say maybe you can, maybe you can't. I'm not a doctor, but I'm like a person that has a good, you know what. Have you ever heard of that? The heat and the light relative to certain viruses, yes, but relative to this virus?
That is a treatment. I mean, certainly fever is a good thing. When you have a fever, it helps your body respond. But not as I've not seen.
I think it's a great thing to look at. I mean, okay.
Especially sir, you're the president, and people tuning into these briefings, they want to get information and guidance and want to know what to do. They're not looking for rumors.
I'm the president, and you're fake news. And you know what I'll say to you? I'll say very nicely, I know you well. I know you well, because I know the guy. I see what he writes. He's a total faker. So, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? It's just a suggestion from a brilliant lab by a very, very smart, perhaps brilliant man. He's talking about sun, he's talking about heat, and you see the numbers. So that's it. That's all I have. I'm just here to present talent. I'm here to present ideas, because we want ideas to get rid of this thing. And if heat is good, and if sunlight is good, that's a great thing as far as I'm concerned. Go ahead.
Get rid of the virus. I want you to listen to this.
Supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, and then I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning?
Now, there are obviously strong warnings against what he's suggesting. The maker of Lysol and Dettol released a statement. You can read it on your screen. It says, "We must be clear that under no circumstance should our disinfectant products be administered into the human body through injection, ingestion, or any other route." John Harwood joins us live now from Washington. So bizarrely, the president there intimating that perhaps ingesting disinfectant might be one way of tackling the coronavirus. Has he clarified what he meant by that, John?
No, he hasn't, and his aides have tried to dance around it. But I got to tell you, this has put into sharp relief, Zane, an issue that we've all been dancing around for the last 3 years, because the president has said bizarre things for a very long time, and the idea that he's not all there, that he's not in connection with reality, is something that we have had difficulty talking about. This put that into sharp relief, because the idea of people ingesting disinfectant, Lysol, Clorox, whatever, is straight up a lunatic idea.
Shocking, isn't it? Shocking that a president can come on the podium and tell people that it was his idea. And I mean, he's saying to the doctor, there's a doctor sat just off camera, who he's turning to as a reference point. And he's saying to you that in the camera that, you know, and the doctors mentioned lights and powerful lights, and I actually thought, what about, we might be able to put in their bodies. And do you remember I said that? And then they mentioned disinfectants, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, if disinfectants can kill this, then do you remember I suggested, why don't we try injecting it or drinking it? Injecting or drinking Dettol. That's how crazy our world's getting. It's getting crazy. And do you know what it's doing? Do you know what it's causing? Take a look at this, guys, what it's causing in America. And then I'll tell you, when you've seen this video, I'll tell you and show you the direct link between what Trump does in America and what our right-wing nuts in the UK do. Take a look at this video.
Disgusting. You're a virus.
We're trying to do the right thing and we don't need to get attacked. It's not fair to get attacked.
And a handful of nurses wearing masks, refusing to move.
Pictures of nurses and physicians with bruises on their faces and crying because they can't take another day of losing patients. It's just incredible that that doesn't seem to affect people.
And you say I don't have the right to stand here and debate you? Listen, honey, we can have a decent conversation. You can't outline be stupid. Let's go. No, can't fix stupid.
Traitor! Why do those people spreading disinformation? No shame. No shame.
It really feels like a slap in the face to medical workers. I get it. I don't want to be stuck in my house either. I don't think many people at all are enjoying this. That's not the point.
People die from all kinds of things every day. That's just the way of life. The people that are getting sick are the people that are already compromised in the first place. They're usually older, they're unhealthy. I'm sorry for them.
All you're going to do is start trouble and everybody's going to end up going to jail. They won't just take you to jail and her to jail, they'll take everybody to jail and it'll be on your record for the rest of your life. Is it worth it?
We have a right to be here too.
And they're saying reopen PA with no testing. It's like they don't care about life. They don't care about the people around them, the people they love. I care about the people.
The president's policy says you can't start to reopen under his plan until you have declining numbers for 14 days, which those states and my state do not have. So then to encourage people to go protest the plan that you just made recommendations on Thursday, it just doesn't make any sense.
So now he's out of this world behavior in America. He's now got his supporters calling nurses fakes, calling them actors and actresses, saying that they were put up to do this by who? Who exactly recruited actors from all over the world to play nurses' role? It's so bad the nurses came out to block their vehicles, to stop them from heading towards town, towards the hospitals, to cause havoc. Do you know that the Trump is applauding these people? So while we're here applauding our nurses, and people in America applauding their nurses, people in Germany, Spain, France, Italy, Korea, China, they're all applauding the healthcare workers. Trump has now started a bandwagon where the nurses are being called fakes and liars and get out the way, you're rubbish, you're not nurses. He's now started that. You think he's only over there? I'm going to tell you guys about this lady called Kate Shemirani. Kate Shemirani. This person claims she's a nurse or ex-nurse. And she came to my attention about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so. She was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back in me starting these platforms. Because obviously I'd seen all the fake news getting about. It was really getting on my nerves, and having conversations on social media with people that would last for hours and long text messaging and all that, just to get to their minds. But they were stubborn. And then I saw this Kate. My missus showed me her, and she said, "What do you think of her?" And the video I watched, she was saying the Lord's Prayer over and over again, telling people, be prepared for the New World Order. All these people thinking the New World Order is an order from the government to take vaccines, when the New World Order really is the pecking order of countries. When they say New World Order started, it means the country that was on top is not now on top. A New World Order has started. So 1, 2, and 3, we're now the top 3 countries. That's what New World Order means. But this woman was leading people to think a New World Order is actually an order from above. Now, the reason I'm mentioning her is since that day, that I shut her down by my words and by my common sense, right? Once a week, maybe once every other week, maybe once every 2 weeks or something. I mean, since that time, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I've only gone onto a page maybe 3 times since then. And today's been the first time in about a week and a half that I've gone onto a page. And what I saw actually shocked me. Take a look at the post that she put up, guys. This is the post she put up, and I'll read it out to you in case that went up too quickly, okay? So her post is a picture of our brave hero taking a little break from the madness they're seeing, the body count after body count, the distress after distress, the calling of family members to say your family member has passed away. They took a little time out for themselves to have a bit of fun at a quiet moment. I'm sure they're responsible enough to not have someone whose machines giving off an alarm call that they are in crisis, and they're ignoring that alarm call to do what they were doing. I'm 100% sure, and I will put my life on it, that was not the case. This girl is been watching Trump, and you know what she said? She said, how dare they something or the other. I mean, that was cut off, I'm sorry guys, but it started where I can say, how dare they something how dare they use our NHS equipment this way? Stop clapping for this joke. People are struggling to feed their families, and others awaiting urgent hospital treatment. The NHS are being paid in full, priority shopping, free parking, plans to be paid £29 plus daily for the front line, chorus line for doing this. Stop it. It's disgusting. Abuse of position and privileges. This is what she put up to the people on her Facebook. Guys, please go to this lady's Facebook and let her know that we love our nurses, we love our frontline workers, the teachers who are teaching the nurses' children, the bus drivers, black, white, and immigrants who are driving our buses, the delivery drivers who can barely speak English, some of them maybe, but we love them loads because they are keeping us going. The nurses who can just about spell her name. And guess what? I'm going to get to her followers in a minute. Guess what, Kate? Kate, your name is Shemirani. That sounds like an Iranian name, funny enough. Where are you from, Kate? Are you not from Iran? Or Shemirani sounds like either Moroccan or Iranian or Ethiopian. No, not Ethiopian. Moroccan, Iranian, Syrian. That sort of regions, Kate. You're here with your name Shemirani, right? And abusing nurses because you see Trump doing it. Now, the thing is, guys, the reason I'm calling her out is don't just think. She's got 500 followers. I mean, something like 400 and something people liked her post today. Do you know how dangerous that is? Do you know how close that is from getting another 3 of her, and all of a sudden our nurses start suffering what you just saw in that video? This is what some of her followers were saying. Someone called Carla Tate. I'm calling their names out. Someone called Carla Tate. If you're a neighbor of Carla Tate's, this is what Carla Tate thinks. Maybe this ... government-led bullshit, as in government pays actors to impersonate NHS staff. I really detest this behavior either way. Basically, she detests to see the nurses taking a break and having a bit of a downtime. Okay? Then someone else says, Lisa Hicklin. Lisa Hicklin. If you know Lisa Hicklin, guys, and you see this video, call her out. Fireworks in Harlow, Essex last night, and she puts up swearing. Look at that. Swearing that people celebrated the applause last night, okay? So she says fireworks in Harlow, Essex last night. It's as if everyone is brainwashed. She's calling you, me, and all my neighbors on this road, and all the ministers and all the people around the world who are applauding their frontline workers in all of their countries. She's saying we're all brainwashed. Great stuff. She's not brainwashed, but her leader, Trump, is telling us to inject Dettol and, and drink it. But we're the crazy ones clapping for nurses. Then this other person says, this other person called Wend Michelle. So if you know a Wend Michelle on Facebook, call her out. While they're singing and dancing, there are people dying or becoming worse of other medical conditions and not, in capitals, being attended to, as well as pensioners being abandoned all over, and all because of this pandemic. It's the corrupt leaders we're mostly blaming. And by the way, I have to make you know, this was in response to my text. I'm going to read out what I wrote on that platform in a minute. This was in response to, she answered what I said. Actually, let me read out what I said, then I'll read her answer out. Because she was responding, she only switched tactics a little bit. It was the nurses they were blaming. They were absolutely mad at the nurses, calling them fake, calling them actors and everything else. When I put this text on there is when they took notice. I said, really? What is wrong with you bloody followers of Kate Shemirani? Because she's a poisonous person who just wants to hate as right-wing types do. You all just follow her like bloody sheep. It's shocking. These poor hospital staff have been walking into the fire zone daily. They're dying in droves because our right-wing government put right-wing ideology before lives. They're saving many of your fellow citizens. Many of you know some affected folk. They're saying final goodbyes for relatives who can't say bye to their dying loved ones themselves, which one day could be any one of you, right? And in the midst of all that harrowing sorrow they're witnessing and living daily, Kate wants to vilify them, hate on them. When did we become such a hateful country, guys? Really, when? Because they're taking a few minutes out of a harrowing and distressing day to lighten the mood? Are you all hating them because Kate put those words above the post? If Kate had put a love heart, if she'd put a love heart next to the post, how many of you would have praised them and followed suit with love hearts too? Jesus effing Christ. And Kate is supposed to be a godly person, a Christian, right? You guys are totally disgusting, just like the Trump supporters in the US calling nurses fake and actors. So when I replied on to her comment with this, that's when this Wend Michelle then replied and said, while they're singing and dancing, there are people dying or becoming worse of other medical conditions that are not being attended to. So, as well as pensioners being abandoned all over, and all because of this pandemic. So we're hating the pandemic. Yes, we do all hate the pandemic. The people with this medicine, this virus right now are kind of priority because they're dying in droves. People who have heart attacks are not dying in droves. But I can guarantee you, Miss Wend Michelle, that those people, when they took the time out to play a little bit of a song and a little downtime, I guarantee you nobody was dying. I guarantee you no pensioners were being neglected. Okay? But guys, I have to draw attention to this sort of crap because it's coming here. When I showed you that video just now, okay? When I just now showed you that video, you thought, many of you thought that was disgusting, right? Well, guess what? It's coming to your, what's that saying? It's coming to a place near you soon. It's coming to a place near you soon. If we allow people like Kate, what's her name? Shemirani, the Iranian fake prophet, talking about she's a Christian, okay? So guys, if you know Kate Shemirani, call her out. If you're a neighbor, call her out. If you know any one of those people I just mentioned, call them out. Because while you guys are applauding out there and appreciating what these kind-hearted heroes are doing, we've got people like these people getting angry at them for a little bit of a break. And their voices, the thing about my platform that I love is that my platform is able to call out these people. There's been too many of these people on platforms for too long. Now, I want to show you what is happening as well in America. I just said to you guys earlier that finally, at least we're now ramping up testing. We're now taking the time out to do our testing and to take care of the citizens before we start even thinking about coming out. Now, as you know, the US has been shouting, that Trump has been shouting, liberate this state, liberate that state. All blue states, by the way. So he's got a state, Georgia, the state of Georgia is opening up. He supported it.
Well, to say it's worrisome is an understatement. The plan as outlined flies against exactly what was outlined in actually the sensible plan that the presidential task force released last week. And it said, remember, that you really want to see things declining, the rate of new infections declining for about 2 weeks before you start to reopen things. You want to be sure you have adequate personal protective equipment so that you can deal with an outbreak if it does happen. And you want to be sure you have adequate diagnostic testing so that you can go out there and find what's happening if you do see a resurgence. I'm not persuaded, or I haven't seen enough evidence to say that Georgia is in that position. You just mentioned that we're anticipating seeing an increase in deaths or sustained deaths.
Let's talk about what's happening just a couple of hours from now in Georgia. So businesses there will be allowed to reopen. Some businesses, we've talked about them, hair and nail salons, tattoo parlors, etc. And at the moment, the models show without any reopening. These models were taken before Georgia reopens. That at the moment, 881 people in Georgia have died as of today. Without any reopening, in 2 weeks, the model shows that that number will double. By June, that number would be more than 2,000 people. So we have no idea how many businesses will feel comfortable opening or how many customers will feel comfortable going to those businesses. But what do you imagine will happen over the next few weeks or month in Georgia?
That says it all right. Like I say on this platform, and as we get closer to elections across the world, and now I know that I knew people would watch it across the world anyway, but as I said to you earlier in the show, we're now got attention in Brazil from people who agree with us, because there's more of us than these nutcases, guys. There are more of us than these nutcases. We can't let their voices be the loudest. When their voices are the loudest, there's nothing good from it. You're only going to get race wars. You're only going to hate your neighbors. You're going to hate nurses. You're going to think nurses are fake and they're actors. You're going to think real news is fake news. And fake news is real news. That's what happens when you let these people run the airwaves. I'm here to flipping fight that in my own little way. Guys, I want to finish off by calling out the Scottish government. Well, I'm not finishing off with that, but that's one of my last titles until I get to my finishing off topic. There's a matter going on, which I'm going to show you a clip in a minute. But basically, the US, you know, the US put out a bailout. So yeah, every country's put out a bailout. So the other day, I saw Trump calling out Harvard University, saying, "Oh, listen, Harvard is one of the richest universities. I don't know why they gave the bailout. We're not gonna." But what happened was Harvard gave back. They took the money. They were sent the money, or they were asked to apply for the money. They then applied for the money. Before the money was sent, Harvard came back and said, "You know what? Actually, let the smaller schools get it." I mean, in the US, you've got black colleges, you've got Hispanic colleges, really small private colleges that just do their own thing because they don't trust the national government to educate their children. So Harvard gave the money back. Trump comes on the podium, which I'm going to show you about in a minute. He berates them. He says Harvard shouldn't get it. Harvard shouldn't get it. They got about $140 billion endowment, like basically savings. That's what they should be using that for. I don't know why they're taking the money. Well, guess what, guys? It turns out that in Scotland, we have been furloughing Donald Trump's businesses, his golf course in Scotland. He's been taking government money here, even though he's a billionaire. And he's over there in America telling of Harvard. Okay, take a look at this video.
And for small business, and I'm very happy that Harvard didn't get covered. We actually never sent them the check, but they were very nice about it. We never sent them the money. The old-fashioned way is the check. The new way is send them the money, and we didn't send them the money. And but they were very understanding and they were very nice about it. So was Princeton, so was Stanford, so were a number of other schools that you just don't associate with this money. So were big companies, as you know many of them. It was a relatively small amount of money compared to the whole, very small amount of money compared, but we wanted to be fair. We wanted to go to the people that it's supposed to go to.
Okay, now that's Trump basically telling Harvard off and saying, yeah, we didn't send him the money and all of that. Nicola Sturgeon, this is my message to you. Make sure, because okay, I don't have a clip of it, but I did say it. I just didn't record it for this show. But this question was put to Nicola Sturgeon, and Nicola Sturgeon's answer was that it was put to her and she said she wasn't going to get involved. And then they put the same question to Eric Trump, who's Donald Trump's son, and Eric Trump says the bailout is not to help the Trump organization. The bailout is to help those we employ in Scotland, the taxpayers in Scotland, and that's why the taxpayer money is going to help those taxpayers in Scotland. Is that the biggest load of bullshit you ever heard? Who do you think will be paying those people on furlough if the taxpayer wasn't paying them? He says he's not benefiting the corporation. Well, if he's not benefiting the corporation, why is Harvard doing the wrong thing? Because the money they were taking to stay afloat was to pay lecturers, staff, keep the bills getting paid in these times when students are off campus. All the money they would have got from food on campus, from the canteens, the soft drinks being bought from the drink machines, all of the revenue that a college like Harvard makes is gone. So if he's saying they got money to get through that means that he doesn't want to bail them out to pay the same people that pay taxes to the US government, right? So why are we bailing out his workers in Scotland and his family is saying he's not benefiting the Trump organization, is helping the UK taxpayer? Nicola Sturgeon, if you see this, cut it out. That guy deserves zero from this country. Zero. Okay? Now, I want to move on to what I'm trying to finish on at the moment. I did bring you guys some information about the oil prices and a bit of I've got a bit of a update on that for you guys. I actually got two videos to show you guys on that, and one is the video of what oil is saying at the moment. So take a quick look at that.
Nigeria hard. According to the IMF, the country relies on oil sales for 90% of its foreign exchange earnings and 60% of government revenue. Oil accounts for 9% of Nigeria's GDP. Meantime, the number of coronavirus cases, the number of infected continues to rise in Africa. Eleni Jokos joins us live now from Johannesburg. So Eleni, I'm originally from Nigeria. You spent a lot of time in that country. When you think about how this country is suffering because of this pandemic, 60% of the country's revenues comes from oil. On top of that, it is now losing about $35 million a day because of this pandemic. What hangs in the balance here?
Yeah, and it's so funny. Yes, I do go to Nigeria very often. And in fact, the last time I was there, it was in February. And I remember just how much optimism there was about 2020 and just how much economic growth people were expecting. And of course, oil prices were pretty stable at that point. And then you fast forward to now and you're looking at a very different environment. And what hangs in the balance is, of course, the ability of government to be able to spend its way out of this crisis. If you're talking about wiping out a significant portion of its revenues, like you say, then how much money is there left to really spend and plow into the health sector? How much money will there be for social issues that are obviously going to arise because of the pandemic? Now, the numbers in Nigeria are sitting at around 980 cases at the moment with 31 deaths. But the country is currently under lockdown, and that brings so many issues into play. Firstly, you're killing economic growth because you have to pick lives over the economy. But you're also then embarking on a twin shock, is what the IMF is talking about. Firstly, you've got the impact of COVID-19 and the pandemic and the lockdown, and then you have the oil price volatility shock, which has absolutely rocked the country and its finances. Budgets have to be reworked. Oil majors are coming under pressure. And you and I know the value chain around the oil and gas sector is absolutely enormous. So you're looking at potential job losses there as well. So it's a tough situation right now, Zane, but let me tell you, private sector and government are trying to mobilize to find solutions to the problems that are going to be coming up in the next few months.
Also, that's on oil. And also, I want to draw your attention to our borrowing and our economic situation, because look, this platform isn't just about politics and talking about what we're upset about. This platform is about bringing you guys stuff that I believe, in my opinion, you can disagree with me and say, why do I need to know that? But I will tell you why if you ever wrote to me or called me and said, why do you think I need to know that? So I bring you other stuff that I think a rounded adult in 2020 should really have knowledge about. You should know what's going on with your economy. You should know what's going on with the oil price of oil. You should know what's going on with your government. You should know what your politicians are promising when you go to vote. Who's the right one for you and your family, rather than a one issue vote. And as long as that's the party that's doing it, I don't really care anything else about them. Yeah, I don't care if he takes cocaine. Yes, I don't care if he shags every woman in his office. Yes, I don't care if he's got 5 or 6 or maybe 7 or 8 or maybe 9 kids. We don't know. That's not the way to vote. So this is why these things are key. So I'm going to flash up a couple of things on the screen for you guys. Take a look at our economic situation right now.
The government was planning to borrow 156 billion for the whole year. So far, they borrowed 45 billion in just a month. Today announced they want to raise another 180 billion in the next 3 months. That puts us at 225 billion pounds with 2/3 of the financial year still to go.
We're in serious trouble, and all countries are in trouble. This is not to blame the government. I'm putting this up not to blame the government. I told you guys they've done the good thing today. I have no blame for them whatsoever. However, I have blame for Nicola Sturgeon, who's giving money to Trump when he's trying to deny Harvard for the same reasons that why he shouldn't be getting any money. But yes, the government's borrowing a lot. They plan on borrowing for the whole year, for the whole 12 months, 156 billion. So far, they've borrowed 225 billion, and they're asking for another 180 billion. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind, because guess what? We'll be paying. They're going to bring in measures. With Labour, they're going to pay this back in a way that doesn't hurt you, me, and our children. You put a Tory government in, you leave a Tory government in power with this amount of debt for the next 10 years. You have Tories in power with this amount of debt. We'll all suffer for it, guys. Remember, I told you that here for the first time. But also, there's something I want to draw attention to as well, which is the PMI, the Purchasing Managers Index. Is diabolical, guys. I just flashed it up to you, but I've got a printout for you guys to have a look at. Okay, so you guys remember the 2008. Many people who worked at that time don't truly understand the extent of the recession. But like I've been telling you guys on there, we was running businesses. We had a restaurant at the time. We had a recruitment agency at the time, and we saw firsthand it totally destroyed us. Really, literally, it wiped us out. But we weren't the only ones who got wiped out. Countries got wiped out. Everybody got wiped out who was at the forefront of this thing at the time. But look, that's 2008 there, and that was terrible, right, guys? This is 2008 here. This is the lowest we went in 2008. Then we came back. Right? Then we kept going back. Then we had a little dip here. Then we came back. This, guys, is where we are today. Guys, in that video, Nigeria is a very, not a small country. It's a large country where they're bigger than the UK. But in terms of GDP, they're a little guy in the market when you compare that to the UK. But you see in that video, did you see the soldiers and just ordinary officials, state people, police officers, soldiers? Do you see them testing people on the street? You've seen those pictures across the world, right? Even though that video was to show you how oil was affecting Nigeria, I just want to draw your attention that in that clip, you saw the street testing going on. We haven't started testing like that here. That's what I've been calling for. I've been calling before we come out, and even when we come out, there should still be testing sites dotted around the country. That's just from Nigeria, who we would laugh at in terms of position in wealth. Okay, so if you're a millionaire person, Nigeria is probably someone who's got $1,000 in their pocket. You got a million in terms of production and in terms of. So if the guy who's got $1,000 in his pocket can protect his family. How come you, the millionaire, cannot do better for your family? That's the question I'm asking. Now, my last video is to poke a finger at Trump, at Kate Shemirani and her followers, and all those of you right-wing nuts who watch this video, okay? Yesterday's theme was about how this is affecting black people. I want to show you a funeral today of a spectacular person who sadly was lost on the front line. Take a look.
And a care home nurse who died with COVID-19 symptoms earlier this month. Today, her family and friends paid tribute to her at her funeral and gave her a moving musical send-off with a flavour of the country of her birth.
Outside, those who couldn't attend gathered to sing traditional songs from Malawi, Elsie's original home. The words translate into a message of hope that although 44-year-old Elsie was taken too soon, they will meet again.
She was such a nice lady, very calm, always smiling. Yeah, that's how I know her, and it has really affected, her death has really affected me so much.
That's so sad.
It is very sad. We know everybody's gonna die, but to die in these circumstances is really, really very sad.
A guard of honor.
You rest in peace, and may all those who have passed away on the front line, let's pray for them all tonight. Let's pray for them. Let's remember them in our prayers. Let's pray for their families, their husbands, their wives, their children, their cousins, their neighbors, their friends, and anyone who knows them. Let's pray for them because they are dying in droves. And our heart goes out to them and appreciation goes out to them. I will sign out at the end of this by putting up a picture of all frontline workers. Not all, but just a snapshot, just a few of the frontline workers who have lost their lives, unfortunately, in this coronavirus. And I am happy that the government are now picking up themselves to do the right thing. I'll be keeping an eye on how many they're testing per day, per week, and so on. I'll be keeping an eye out on, we haven't even disinfected our streets. Many of you have seen the videos of these trucks. I even saw one in India doing that, of videos of trucks with men in these suits disinfecting the lampposts, the streets around the country. We haven't even done that. So I'm begging you, Boris Johnson, you're doing a good thing today. So I'm not on your back today, but I'm begging you to please also disinfect our streets, disinfect our public toilets, disinfect our buses, our trains. But before we come out, it's a bit like moving into a new house. We wouldn't move into a new house without bleaching down the whole house and cleaning it all down. Boris Johnson, please bleach down our homes, our home as in the streets, before we come out. Guys, thank you very much for watching my video today. Today, like I said, is Friday the 24th. I will not be posting this up today, Friday the 24th. I'll be posting it on Saturday the 25th. So you're going to see this video on the 25th, but it was recorded on the 24th. In the meantime, guys, please take care of yourselves, look after each other, and cut fake news dead. Social distance from fake news. Stop following fake prophets and stop believing fake news. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.